I get asked quite a bit about little corner issues, like not the big ones, but the little teeny ones that are kind of like tricky, and they have a, let's see, get better light on here for you guys. There we go. Just those little hits like that. You see that little guy there in the corner? Let me see if I can get a little bit more light in here. There we go. More light's always the answer. So just got this little crease, and the good thing is I'm not missing much paint or any paint. I think everything else looks pretty good. But like the first thing I'll typically do when I run into something like this is just keep it simple. You know, I'll put a penny sleeve on it and use the card tool. And I typically go in the same pattern. I just go from the west to the east on that bottom edge surface right where they meet. Do the same thing from the, go north to south. Because sometimes you can fix a corner or something like this pretty quick. Sometimes you got to get a plan B. It's actually decent. The shape of it's decent. I can still see the little line. But like, let's see the shape. We got a good angle there, but I still have a little bit of a crease. A little bit of a crease right there. All right, so the shape is good. I like the shape. But I got a little bit of a crease. So that's when, you know, like plan B, I'll use a little bit of spray. And here's what I want to show you guys with the spray. I don't want you to, like, you can get a whole card soaked if you need it, you know, but a card like this doesn't need to be like wet, you know, it's in really good shape despite that little crease. So when you work on a corner, you don't want to soak out the corner because it's such a shock. It would be soaked, then dry. And sometimes you'll get that line where it was like this card corner was super cleaned out, but then the rest of the card's still the same, and then you gotta like pretty much clean the whole card. So to avoid getting avoid getting that corner too soaked, I just use a little bit. So like, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Just do that, and I'm just gonna get a tiny bit of moisture. Here's the great thing about moisture is you can always add more, but if you go too much, I mean, it's too much. That's still too wet for me for this job. I want to see it more. I want to see more breakup in there. It's still too wet. All right, there we go. I like that. So what I want to do is just keep it simple. Tap, 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 tap. That's it. I'll let it sit for a second too. And don't be afraid to use like your best tools. Your finger's cool. I just wanted to get that moisture in there. I'm gonna flip the card over too. So that's directly the backside corner. And if I can get a little bit of moisture in there too, it will help just during the drying process. That extra moisture in there will help open up that front. So you see how it's not soaked out by any means. Actually, that corner needs a little bit more help. There's a wrinkle in it. Let's do that. Okay, so we'll get that line out of there. I'll show you that in a second. I just want to see how good we did so far. Awesome. So you can still see there's a little bit of texture in there, right? So here's what I want to do. This is one thing I get a lot of questions on, so tell me if this makes sense. So now I have moisture in this corner, right? I'm even gonna add a touch more. That's it. It's not soaked. And I'm gonna grab, pardon me, another sleeve. So here's the process I like. Gravity is going to be enough pressure. So what I want to do is cover the card. Covering the card helps because I'm going to keep that little bit of moisture in there. And let me see if you guys can see this texture on there. Okay, can you see it a little bit? So here's what I'm looking for. I want to hold what we just did in place. I don't want to smash it down. That will just make everything you just did like useless, you know? So what I want to do here is put this up here, get a good view for you. And let me see if I can show you this. This is important. Sometimes my lights are awesome for me, but they just are kind of rough on the camera. So watch that corner. When I press on it, you can see that's the top touch point. So that means just the weight of this top disc is all I need, and it weighs nothing, you know what I mean? But that's gonna, this setup right here, the two sleeves are gonna help the corner dry slowly. And then just retaining this thing in place is just gonna make sure it doesn't puff up too much. It'll just stay where it's supposed to be. So that would be my best kind of combo. You know, start with the corner tool, get it in place, good. If you need to get that ding out of there, baby bit of moisture. Don't soak it unless you have a filthy card. You gotta soak the whole card. That's a different video. But that's all you need to do. All right. So I'm gonna let this rest out. Probably take a half hour or so, and then I'll do a recap with you. All right, we're at my favorite part. Let's see how we did. And just to review, this was a way to work on a corner without getting it soaked out and creating out that moisture line, and just how to retain it. Look at that. The card was a PSA 5. I know it's kind of like, oh, you know, should you go for it at that point? I think absolutely, because that corner is way better. And look, there's the back. No stains, nothing like that. Looks awesome. All right, thanks for checking it out. Do that tip for your vintage paper corners. And I think that we made a nice improvement on this beautiful 64 Mickey Mantle. I'm Kurt with Kurt's Card Care.